Atonality is the systematic avoidance of permitting any single pitch to sound as a tonal center, the system of going beyond tonality as a basis for musical thought and structure. It is the organization of sound without key establishment. Atonality is said to operate within a syntax that favors dissonant formations, and its organization is based upon shifting intervallic tension or an order of tones. The various elements in atonal music are tightly knit usually by extreme motivic concentration, and reference is constantly made to previous material. And in many cases in atonality music, especially by the strict composers, there is little regular rhythmic stamping and no continuous chain rhythms. The rhythmic patterns are usually asymmetrical and the meters irregular and often complicated. Of course, there's many variations you can do with atonal music. I mean, within your tone row, if you want to add a major third or a minor third, or you get stuck with that in composing your tone row, then you can go with it. I mean, you know, you can go from one extreme to the other. There's so many different variations within that spectrum of between atonality and tonality. The 12-tone technique, or composition with 12 notes related to one another, is designed to methodically equalize all pitches of the chromatic scale by the following means. 1. A 12-tone composition is to be based on an arrangement or series of the 12 pitches that is determined by the composer. This arrangement is the tone row or set. Number 2. No pitch may be repeated until all other pitches have been sounded. There is one exception to this restriction. A pitch may be repeated immediately after it is heard. Repetition may also occur within the context of a trill or tremolo figure. Number 3. The tone row may, within the confines of the system, legitimately be used in retrograde, which is reversed order, inversion, which is the mirroring of each interval, or retrograde inversion, reverse order of the mirrored form. In this composition I just recently wrote called Dissonant Departure, you'll see that the first musical row here, I have E, B flat, A, G sharp, E flat, and so on. Those are the pitches that I selected, and I tried to be as dissonant in the interval between each of the notes. And if you look at the arrows leading down to where it says chords, if you're going to use chords, you should use the 3 or 4 notes or 5 notes in a row, and then the next 3 or 4 or 5 notes, and then, you know, continue on like that. And of course, the row that you're looking at, the prime, is the tone row. And what I can do is I can reverse that row, which is the bottom line there, the bottom staff, where it says D, F, C sharp, G, B, and C, and so on. And that's in retrograde. It's nice to have a matrix that you have filled out with the notes that you selected for your tone row. If you look at the matrix here that's all filled in, the notes on the very top row, the C, G sharp, E, B flat, A, and so on, those are the notes that I selected in one of my compositions back in my college days, but this is what the tone row is for me. What you do is you also place the numbers in the order that they appear in the chromatic scale, starting with 0 as your first note of the row. So in this case I started with 0, which is C, and then the next note would be a C sharp, so that would be the first note. And then the next one would be a D, which would be the second, and so on and so forth. So I mean, I would be glad to send you the 3 or 4 pages I have on this so you can read it thoroughly through, and because there's no way I can go into it in depth right here. But if you take a look at the matrix, you see the P on the far left, that's your prime row, and you can come up with all different kinds of variations. The inversion I at the top is it basically mirrored, and then the retrograde to the far right, the R, means it's just backwards. The melody is being played backwards, and then the RI at the bottom is retrograde inversion. So anyway, that should give you a little bit of a start, and if you're interested, I can send you more information. Thanks for listening.